Students, now in this video, let us start the second chapter of statistics, that is chapter 2, measures of central tendency. Measures of central tendency. Now, central tendency is also known as central tendency is also known as average. Is also known as average. Let us see the definition of it. According to Professor A.L. Bowley, according to Professor A.L. Bowley, averages are statistical constants which enable us to comprehend in a single effort the significance of the whole. Means the single value gives the significance for the whole series. That statistical constant is known as the average. Now, the meaning of this one, is a central tendency refers to a central value or a representative value of a series. For example, let me take an example. Suppose marks of 5 students in statistics are 90, 95, 85, 92 and 97. Now, this can be written in increasing order or ascending order or increasing order is what? 85, then 90, 92, then 95 and 97. Also, the same one can be written in descending order or in decreasing order. What does it give in decreasing order? It is 97, 95, 92, 90 and 85. From both of them we can get this 92 is the central value. So here I can say 92 is the central value or average. It is the central value or average of the series. Now let us see purpose and function of central tendency. What are the purposes of it? Purpose and function. Of central tendency. Purpose and function of central tendency or the averages. Now, the first purpose is it gives us a brief description. Brief description. Now, what does it mean that it gives us a brief description? That means after doing all the operations, we get a brief description of a series. As in previous example, average marks are 92. So here average helps us to describe the whole series. Similarly, second thing is it helps us for comparison. Now how does it help for comparison? If we can compute average of central tendency, then we can compare two series. For example, suppose we have to compare the national income of India and national income of USA. So comparison is possible only when we can compute the averages of national income of both the countries. From that we can conclude that which one or which country is developed country and which country is the developing country. As such, we can do the comparison from averages. Similarly, the next purpose is what? Formulation of policies. Now here most of the policies are designed after computing the averages. So for example, let me take companies design their policies by taking the data of last 5 years, find their averages and see whether there is any increase in a profit or not, and according to that they can design their next policies. Also, the next purpose, it helps us in statistical analysis. Now in many numerical analysis, that is in many researches, also the average plays a very important role. Similarly, it helps us, or the purpose of it is one value for all. As we saw in a definition given by A.L. Bowley, that the average gives a single effort or the single significant value for the whole series. So same thing is here, one value represents the whole series. As in last example we saw that 92 represents the whole series. So as such, these are the purpose or the functions of central tendency. Now the next thing, let us see what are the properties or good measure of central tendency. So let me write a question. What are the properties or good measure of central tendency or average. So now there are various properties or good measures of central tendency. The first one, it should be rigidly defined. Means for good average should have clear and stable definition. Rigidly defined. Clear and stable definition. That is, it has definite and fixed value. Second is that it should be based on all the observations. That is, it should be representative. It should depend on all the observation. It doesn't leave any observation. Then next is that it should be easy to understand and calculate. It should be easy to understand and calculate. So as it should not be complex. Every common man can able to understand it easily and calculate it easily, so that it helps them. Now the next thing is that it should be capable. It should be capable for further algebraic treatment. It should be capable for further algebraic treatment. So what does it mean? That after computing average, it should be used to study any statistical method like correlation, regression, kurtosis, skewness, etc. It should able to help us there. Now the next thing, the absolute value. Absolute value. That it should be an absolute value, means it is not a decimal, fraction or percentage, while it is an absolute value. Now next thing, it should not affect much by extreme observations. It should not affected much by extreme observations. Now, as we saw in last example, that when we are writing them in increasing order or in decreasing order, we saw few observations are very small, or few are very large. So those observations should not affect our average value. That thing is here mentioned, that it should not affect much by extreme observations, that some small observations or some large observations should not affect the central tendency or average. These are various properties of it, are the good measures of this central tendency or the average. Now the next thing is that types of averages. Types of averages. Now the types of averages are actually 6. Now among them 3 are mathematical averages. And 3 are positional averages. Mathematical averages. So first mathematical average is arithmetic mean. Arithmetic mean. Then next one, second is that geometric mean. And the third mathematical average is that harmonic mean. Now positional averages. So first one is median. Second one is partition value. And the third one is mode. The third positional average is mode. Now among all these 6 types of averages, we have to see 3 of them only, that is arithmetic mean, median and mode in our syllabus. So now before going towards the arithmetic mean, median and mode, now here let us see some basic thing, that is types of series. Now in the types of series, actually there are ungrouped data. So in ungrouped data there are 2 types, that is individual series or the second thing is that discrete series. And second thing is from grouped data, that gives the continuous series. continuous series or continuous frequency distribution. Here individual frequency distribution and discrete frequency distribution. So now this is A suppose and B here, types of series in that one. Now let us see one example to understand this individual series, discrete series and continuous series. Let me write one example, and from the same example let me explain you what are these three things. So example, out of 10 students in a class, 3 students got 45 marks. 3 students got 45 marks in statistics. Two students got 50 marks. 50 marks in same subject, statistics. One student got 20 marks. 20 marks in statistics. Two students got 42 marks. 2 students got 42 marks in statistics. One student got 40 marks in statistics, and here 3, 2, 5 plus 1, 6, 2, 8, 9 and 1 more 10. Okay, so one student, suppose one student got 35 marks. 35 marks in statistics. 35 marks in statistics. Now arrange the data. The question is that, suppose arrange the data in all types of series. So the answer is, suppose there is individual series. Now in individual series, in discrete series and in continuous series. How does the continuous series? Now let us see how does we can arrange them in these series, or you can get the difference between those series. Now what is here in individual series, what we get, look at here, 3 students got 45 marks. So here 45, 45, 45. 2 students got 50 marks. So we can write 50, 50 twice. 1 student got 20 marks. So 20. 2 students got 42 marks. So I must write 42, 42. Then 1 student got 40 marks. So I must write 40. 1 student got 35 marks. So I must write 35. As such, we have to write these. So that series is known as what? Individual series. Now the discrete series. In discrete series, there are 2 groups. So now here we will write the marks and the number of students. That will become frequency. Marks and number of students, those who got. Number of students. Okay. So now 45 marks are got by 3 students. Okay. So 50 marks are got by how many students? 2 students. 20 marks are got by 1 student. Then 42 marks are got by 2 students. Again 40 marks are got by 1 student, and 35 marks are got by 1 student. Look at them here. This addition is again 10. Here also 10 observations. These are what? Ungrouped data. These are ungrouped data. Now in group data, what we are doing, or group data, or that is known as a continuous series. A continuous series in that one. Here the maximum marks are how much? 50. So marks and the minimum are here what? 20. So marks must be from 0 to 10, 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40, and 40 to 50. As such, the classes can be done. So now between 0 to 10, not a single student have any marks. So the frequency of that class will become 0. You know the frequency and classes from the previous chapter. Now between 10 to 20, there is one student who has a 20 marks, but that 20 is the upper limit here, and this is continuous classes. So this 20 is in lower limit in the next class, so that 20 belonging to the next class. So here also between 10 to 20 the frequency is 0. Again 20 to 30, only one student has a 20 marks, so here we get its frequency is 1. Now between 30 to 40, there is one student whose marks are 35, so here again frequency is 1. There is one more class, 50 to 60, 40 to 50. Now look at here, between 40 to 50 there is this 40 also belonging to that, this 42 also belonging to that, and 45 also belonging to same. So how many are they? 3 plus 2 5 plus 1 6. So the frequency of that class is 6. Now 50 to 60, there is one student, 2 students, those who got 50 marks. So as we saw in this for 20, similar thing is here. This 50 is a lower limit and that belongs to this class. Whenever it is upper limit, it doesn't belong to that class. So here those who have a 50 marks, that comes in this class 50 to 60. So the frequency of that class is 2. So as such, we can write the given data in 3 different series, that the individual series, discrete series, and the continuous series. The discrete series is simply the variable and the frequency. Individual series are simply the observations, and in continuous series the class intervals and the frequencies. As such, we can write the types of series. Now for each types of averages, there are various the different formulas when the data is given in individual series, data is given in discrete series, or data is given in continuous series. So now in next video we will see each type of averages one by one, and we will see the formulas of them in each types of series, and we will solve the examples on them. Thank you.